think the key thing with using this app is just about discipline. If you schedule something in, think of it as a non-negotiable activity that you need to do in order to successfully pass your exams or complete a task, or in my case, actually start exercising. Since I can remember, which is basically like in year 7, I feel like I've been trained to plan, organise, schedule my whole life, and like all the homework that I had to do. And the main way that I did that was using my homework diary. Although sometimes I find I'm not very organised, and this happens when I forget to write things down or I forget to schedule something, and it has had some kind of detrimental effect. So for the past 2 years, I have been using the calendar app, and this has changed my life. I realised that as a university student, I have so many things to do, and sometimes I feel like I have very little time to do them because half the time I wake up late, but that's okay. But this has just made my life so much easier and so much more efficient in terms of planning it, because it takes like 1/4 of the time than it would normally if I were to write something down. Big shout out to Apple. I'm hoping that, you sponsor me, because I use this app literally every day. Probably more than TikTok, I'd say, or maybe that might be a lie, I don't know. Obviously, the calendar app is specific to those who use the iPhone. I know that's basically like 99.99999% of the whole population, but those of you who have Android phones, it's okay. There is Google Calendar for you to organise your life. So, how do I organise everything? That's the big question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up my calendar app screen, and I'm using my laptop here. So I'll put a little insert below. Okay, so here I have a blank calendar screen. So this is of January 2021, a random week where I have absolutely nothing scheduled. And if you notice in the left hand side, I've got different categories for different types of things that I like to do or I need to do. So let's just quickly summarize the key themes that I have in my day-to-day life. I've got a study theme, which is basically my general goal for the week for a specific module. I've got home, socials, gym, run, exercise, which is non-existent, filming or editing, tutoring, general calendar, revision, and exams. So for example, if we start with the first one, I've got a study theme, and this is basically a theme of topics that I want to learn in a specific week. This was really useful in my surgery block, where we were allocated different subspecialties within surgery. So for example, one week I had foot and ankle. So what I did was I would double click here, adjust it to the study theme, and then write foot and ankle. So then I knew that for the whole week, that was my primary focus of work. And then the good thing about this is that you can adjust it to like all day, and then I can adjust it to like until Friday. So as you can see, you've got your overall study theme there. This is more for students, but obviously if you've got other tasks, like if you're working in business and you have a target for the week, you can also write that down too. And then next is like home stuff. So for example, lunch, or like reminding myself I need to have a shower or something if I want to schedule in. For example, washing my hair takes ages, so that's a big task in itself. So then I can add that in. So let's just take Monday, for example. If I had uni in the morning and I could come home for lunch, I'd literally put in lunch here, and then that would work in that sense. So next you've got social. So this can literally be anything. So maybe that night I wanted to watch a movie at 7, and maybe if it was on Zoom, I could just say movie night, and then I would put that into orange, because then I know that is my social stuff, and so on and so forth. So you can literally block out what you want to do. I've got gym, which is very non-existent right now. Hopefully 2021 I become a gym queen. And then there's also things like filming and editing, so like for YouTube, because I want to grow that a little bit more. Tutoring, because it's something that I do every single week, and it's really good to visualize it all. So I would put everyone's names down for the specific people I tutor. So, and over the week I can see how much I'm tutoring, and this will correlate with maybe how much extra work I have to do to make up for the time that I've been tutoring. And then you've got basic things like just general stuff that have been scheduled. So if it was like a meeting, that would go under calendar. So revision would be during the exam period or throughout the year. If I wanted to revise, for example, GI, then I would put that in there, and I'd say 1 o'clock I'm revising GI. And you can be more specific with this as well, because sometimes if you just generalize it, you might sit down and think, okay, I'm doing GI, which is the gastrointestinal system, but you don't actually know what you're revising. So you can be specific. You could say that you wanted to revise the anatomy of the GI system, etc., etc. And then finally, exams, which is the dreaded one. And this is barely on my calendar sheet anyway. And you can just schedule that in so you know exactly when your exams are as well. As you can see, I have given a different colour for each of the task types that I've come across. Basically, it's just to make it easier to distinguish between everything, because then you can figure out what you need to do more of, aka gym and running and exercise for me, and what you need to do less of. So if you've been socialising quite a lot, then maybe the following week you need to knuckle down and get some more work done. Let's go through the pros. What exactly are the good things about using the calendar app? If you have Apple products, aka like a Mac or an iPad or a phone, everything syncs. So if you whip out your iPad and you want to know what your timetable is for the day, it's going to sync automatically as everything is saved on the cloud. So this is such a bonus because you never have an excuse for not doing anything, because your to-do list is always there on your calendar app. And most importantly, it's always accessible, so you don't need to worry about forgetting things that you haven't done yet. And this is my favourite thing about planning everything on an app that syncs all the time, is that you can shift things to different days. So for example, if I didn't get a chance to maybe edit a video today, then I could schedule it in for tomorrow, and all I have to do is just shift it from one day to the next. So I don't need to be scribbling things out on a piece of paper or rewriting a timetable for the day if it's quite a hectic one. It's just very easy to do. You just swipe. I guess using the calendar app can have its problems. I can see it because I have faced this myself. Sometimes you might not follow your schedule for the day, and this happens all the time. You might be procrastinating, or one task takes way longer than you expected it to be. So you end up kind of rolling over to different time periods and different tasks that you should have done in the day. Basically, it might not be easy to follow something that you've planned to each minute of the day. And this always happens to me, especially when I schedule exercise. I was quite good at it when we had uni, but now in the holidays, I'm scheduling it, or I'm just telling myself to do it and I have no motivation to. So if someone can encourage me to start exercising for my own mental health, please can you comment down below, because your girl isn't doing anything right now. So I think this is the trap that everyone can fall into. Because it's so easy to shift tasks between different days, it's so easy to just postpone an activity to like 3 weeks. You don't need to do it now. So I think the key thing with using this app is just about discipline. If you schedule something in, think of it as a non-negotiable activity that you need to do in order to successfully pass your exams or complete a task, or in my case, actually start exercising. In 2021, if you've got lots of things that you want to do, you can just schedule it so easily at the tips of your fingers. So hopefully this video has helped you to figure out a better way to organise your life. This is kind of applicable to if you're a student, if you're working, if you're a mum, if you're a dad, whatever. It's just an easy way to get things done without having to worry about writing it down in that special notebook that your granny gave you for Christmas.